Good afternoon, Rashmi.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Gautam sir, Aditya sir, Simi ma'am.
Uh, Gautamji, you want to say something? Not audible, sir. No, no, we can't hear you. Feeble. Hello, Miss Simi. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible and visible.
Great, great.
Right, one more moment to go. So, and then we can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today.
You went on mute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, so my name is Rashmi Shukla, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with all of you today. So, welcome to the second edition of live webinar organized by Karma Ecotech Limited, EcoX. And the topic for today's discussion is Deciphering the new Plastic EPR guidelines. Today, we are witnessing a pivotal shift in our approach to managing plastic waste with the introduction of extended producer responsibility guidelines. These guidelines signify a monumental change in how we view accountability for plastic waste. The producers, importers, and brand owners owns the responsibility for the entire life cycle of their products, urging a more sustainable approach for consumption to disposal. These guidelines not only aim to reduce the burden on environment caused by plastic pollution, but also represent an opportunity for innovation and collaboration across the industry. They challenge manufacturers to redesign products, optimize recycling methods, and invest in eco-friendly alternatives. This shift not only benefits the environment, but also promote a circular economy where materials are reused, repurposed, and recycled. However, these guidelines hold immense promise. Their successful implementations require collective action. It necessitates collaboration among policymakers, businesses, consumers, and environmentalists to ensure their effectiveness and drive meaningful changes. Today, we will delve deeper into these guidelines, exploring their implementation, potential challenges, and transformative impact they have on our environment and society as a whole. So, to begin with, earlier we have as a moderator our CEO and co-founder Aksharat sir, but due to some reasons, we are having Rahul Tiwari sir, who is Associate VP Enterprise Sale for as a moderator for our today's session. With 14 plus years of experience in implementing technologies for procurement and compliance with large enterprise customers, Sir has rich experience in implementing the solution and services around it for plastic waste management. He has assisted more than 200 plus customers along with consulting services while working with SAP, Ariba, Adobe, Wisecraft. Sir is also managing strategic alliance, holding the team of business development and operation. Apart from this, he's having a good exposure to a track and traceability solution along with audit part, currently developing a solution in association with Indian Oil. Beyond this, beyond his professional obligation, Sir is also committed to sustainable solution which is deeply ingrained at EcoX. Also, we are having our panelists today who are the experts from the industry. So our first panelist is Mr. Aditya Gurudanti, sir. Welcome to the panel, sir. He is the head of sustainability, ESG and operations at Dr. Reddy Laboratories. Welcome to the panel, sir. So, sir is a visionary business leader dedicated to reshaping the corporate landscape as a firm believer in the triple bottom line. He advocates businesses to generate not only economic value, but also environmental and social value. Aditya sir is on a mission to integrate sustainability into core of business strategies, pushing for innovative models that yield profit across all three dimensions. Our second panelist for the day is Simi Mishra, Director of Connecting Dream Foundation. She is a dedicated advocate for grassroots change, has a rich background in talent management, cognitive behavioral therapy, and learning development. With 70 years of experience, she has worked across corporate and government sectors, emphasizing social entrepreneurship and localizing sustainable development goals. Simi ma'am collaborate with training institutions to standardize approaches and enhance the skill of civil servants and contributing to effective administrations. Now, our third panelist for the day is Mr. Gautam Sharma, who is the founder of Surya Enviro and Surya Chemicals. Sir is an accomplishment for a professional with a robust background in environmental management. With over 11 years of experience, he has successfully navigated roles at prominent organizations such as Times Internet, Ramkey Enviro Engineers, and IOL Chemicals. His positive attitude and determinations has propelled Surya Enviro to a new heights, focusing on biodiesel manufacturing in Vaddi and pollution control in Rallu near Derabassi. Under his leadership, the organization thrives in sales, marketing, and waste management, authorized by the pollution control boards. So now I'll hand over the mic to Rahul sir to start the panel discussion with the Q&A session.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you for the nice introduction. And welcome everyone from the panelist members and all the attendees on the webinar. Thank you for joining and sharing your and investing your precious time with us. To set up the context, first I would like to give a very quick background at what exactly we are going to discuss here today. So all of you know that Central Pollution Control Board has issued the guidelines for the plastic waste management. And to achieve these compliances, there are basically 3 steps, right? So first is that you have to submit your procurement and sales data for the registration, depending upon your categories. Then buy the EPR certificates from registered recyclers, come waste management agencies like us. And then the third, the final annual return filing for the every financial year. Now, I'll go one by one with my questions to all the panelists and understand that what are your experiences at this moment when you applied, how did you, what are the supports you have taken, what are the challenges you have faced during the registration, buying the EPR certificates and the annual return filing? What are the major outcomes which you have tried to observe? What exactly you have faced so far? So my question is to Mr. Aditya first. So thank you, Mr. Aditya. So could you please help us out with the complete roadmap that how you achieved the compliance for the plastic waste management in 22-23 fiscal year?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tiwari. Thank you, EcoX, for inviting me on to the panel. It was a great introduction. Just a small correction. I'm the head for ESG and sustainability operations, not head of operations. Head of operations is somebody else with Dr. Reddy's. And yeah, answering to your question, I hope I'm audible enough, right?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. So to answer the question, EPR has been there for good enough chunk of time, and we at Dr. Reddy's also have been investing in recycling and recyclable plastics to a large extent. From a compliance perspective, we are taking the help of one of the consultants, and we are registered onto the CPCB portal. We have a requirement of ballpark around 1,500 tons, give or take. Every year changes here and there, but ballpark around that's the number. And that's the EPR requirement also, which we are taking it up. In the grand scheme of things, from a Indian landscape, 1,500 tons is that small. So from a compliance perspective, that's decently sorted out. Coming to going beyond the compliance, coming to what we can do to actually reduce, as we were having the discussion, pharma, as you can understand, is a heavily regulated industry. Even if we want to change one bit of packaging or one bit of the way in which the packaging is, or even the shape of the packaging is quite well regulated and defined by the regulators. So, and given that our huge chunk of business is actually overseas, so any kind of a packaging change or any kind of a change in the materials used for the packaging have to undergo a huge regulatory oversight to actually make it to the day. And that's, I think, one of the biggest hurdle which we would face. This I'm speaking not just from Dr. Reddy's perspective, but overall, a branded generics and integrated pharma perspective. Any Indian manufacturing organization into pharma industry who are looking to export will have to face that issue. And at the same time, we as an organization would prefer to have two varied lines of working for Indian and overseas businesses. But as of now, economies of scales don't make sense. So we generally have a unified. So if the packaging, we generally tend to follow the same packaging across the board, be it be for India, be it be for Europe, Russia, Japan, or US. And I think that one thing would be a bit of a issue as we go ahead. We are trying to have recycled plastics and high recyclability for our packaging. As of now, we are trying to have that middle layer to be as much recycled as possible. But that also we are facing a huge issues from the. Yeah, so that's my take. Thank you.
Very nice point to be picked up here, that how we can use the recycled plastic content in coming years to make more sustainable uh, plastic waste management agency, plastic management compliance point of view. And I'm sure all of us are aware that CPCB has already notified the guidelines that from 25, 26 onwards, Europe certificates use of recycled plastics would be onboarded as a concept where every producer, importer, and brand owner has to achieve some compliances towards the Europe market as well. So the concept is that you have to develop your vendor from now onwards so you can achieve the real outcome in 25, 26, because as you know the industry, the specification will changes and a lot of approvals would be needed in the um, specification point of view, in your product point of view, in your approvals point of view. So this is the right time for the development. But thanks for the answers, Aditya. I would like to move to Mr. Gautam and would like to understand that what exactly at this point of time, as a plastic waste recycling point of view, what is the current scenario in Punjab or Chandigarh region or the northern part of India? What is your experience with your customers or with your collaborators in the market?
Very good afternoon to one and all present. I am Gautam Sharma from Surya Chemicals, Surya Enviro. Basically, we are contributing to the environment by recycling of plastic materials, then MS materials under hazardous waste category 33.1. Then we are recycling spent oil, which is hazardous waste category 5.1. We are recycling e-waste, electronic and electrical waste, and used cooking oil, which is the leftover, which is left after frying of the food items, which comes under FBOs, food business operators. So basically, we are doing these four things, four waste categories, and the fifth vertical we do is we do training workshops for industries, hospitals, then universities, even hotels here in North India, particularly in the region of Chandigarh, Punjab, Haryana, and Himachal. So I would like to brief you. Even today, our vehicle is collecting oil in this Chandigarh Mohali territory. So Chandigarh as a city is quite a aware city where people are in discipline. It starts right from the traffic lights. If you see Chandigarh as a city, here people they get challaned once they come out from any state, either Punjab or Haryana. It's a very popular thing that they got challaned in Chandigarh. It's such a disciplined city. So same applies to the, I will say, the citizens also the industries here operating. They are very much into the compliances part. But when it comes to the state of Punjab, it has close to 3,500 registered members under Pollution Control Board. And we have majorly been able to give services to the major industries, the companies and the likes of Trident Group, then End Swift. But these are the big names. What I would like to share and request through this medium is that we would like to penetrate to the other industries also, not just the tier 1 industries like Vardhaman, Aarti Steel, Trident, but even a SME industry, which compromises a major part of the Punjab industry sector. So that is what now we are trying to do, and we have been able to do it to some extent. But yes, the penetration is very much required in this market, and I've been lucky that I've been part of Ramki Resustainability Group, so that have had a hands-on experience during the job. So just trying, sir, that we replica the same in the market for the compliances part.
Right, that's how it works. So share your experience and work towards that, and then achieve certain guidelines as per your current visualization and as per the market, what exactly you can contribute towards to the circular economy. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sharma, for your note. I would quickly move to Ms. Shimi Mishra, and I admire that with her rich experience, she would be able to help out the real challenges currently which we are facing in the market. Because as a waste management agency, as a recycler, we are doing our bit, but we we also have to understand that the real job is getting done by the rack pickers and the safai sathis to mainstream. And unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure about it, so I'm using both of the words. Uh, what are the steps needed to bring rack pickers and safai sathi to mainstream? Because still somewhere they are not well paid, or it's not working out the way it is needed. So I would like to know your thoughts, your opinion about it, how we can do it.
Sure, sure. So I think, first of all, congratulations for kind of putting together another very important series in this particular topic. I do kind of, want to specifically thank Akshay Ratji and Nimit Agarwal ji and Rahul ji, you yourself. But I think what we're looking at is really looking into the new policy and what does the new extended policy look like for us, specifically, like you said, that, for the last mile worker, what does it really look like? And like you correctly said, there is self-doubt and there is also a lack of voice in the new policy. Despite the important role that we all recognize for the informal economy workers who collect and segregate waste and then kind of, push it into the system, they get no mention. And on the other hand, we look at transparency and traceability mechanism by CPCB on the EPR credits generation, which is kind of, given a lot of weightage. So how can it be such an unbalanced approach? That is something that we need to kind of, question ourselves on. Why is it that it has happened such? And the discussion on the impact of these mechanisms on accountability, on credibility, and also the overall effectiveness of the whole EPR initiatives, then suddenly kind of, comes under doubt. So, and on the other hand, we have, like Modi ji, who has just kind of given mission life and lifestyle for environment. During the COP28, he gave a clarion call on 1st of December and is also kind of, pushed India to the forefront, looking at the next COP to be hosted by India. So I think, we have, while we have a very complex kind of sometimes even conflicting ideas that are there, but the first and the foremost step is actually to kind of recognize the waste pickers in the law and in the policy as legitimate workers of the waste sector. That itself will kind of, bring in a lot of focus, lot of, structures, and not only structures, I think, integration of them, not only from a social perspective, but also from as a formal role and position within the waste sector. So I think that, the EPR regime really kind of, needs to question itself on two very important paradigms. One is to kind of, rethink the EPR PRO mechanism to include the waste pickers and other workers which are kind of working in an informal way as society, social and, solidarity economy collectives, if that is possible. I think the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan did kind of, do that at a very large level, but we need to now formalize it. That was just the initiation. Now we need to kind of, take that forward. And the second, of course, is to educate and engage the producers and to also maybe incentivize the waste pickers and other informal waste collectors in their efforts to manage the waste stream. So once these two are there, I think the foundation is kind of laid out, and we should be able to kind of, provide a roadmap for building and managing an interface which is efficient with the waste picker cooperatives as a part of the waste stream and not as, like somebody who's kind of sitting in the larger ecosystems, but is not a part of the, value chain or the waste stream. And that is where I think, I would like to lay emphasis on this over and over again, and would love to hear what my panelists have to say about this one.
Yeah, just to add on this. So
Yes.
last week I was in Plastic Vision. There is an event happening. There was an event happening at Mumbai, and I have also met with multiple collectors,
Yeah.
plastic waste collectors, I'm sure that people would have observed that OBP, ocean bound plastic collectors, can get registered in OBP as a collector, and then whatever the collections they are doing, they can be benefited by showing their quantity, etc., and they monetarily benefited from that. Now the point here is there that's a OBP is a voluntarily market, right? So you are
Yes.
paying any money, you are paying voluntarily. However, this EPR is a compliance market where everyone
Yeah.
would like to squeeze the prices, and that's where again it's pushing to me to ask this question that whatever the current pricing of the EPR is is uh, is roaming around us, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee per kg.
Mhm.
Is it the right price, or what is the mechanism of the deriving the right price so to ensure that all the rack pickers and the mainstream guys along with the recyclers can be benefited? Meanwhile, we are also achieving the compliance on time as track and traceability is also required, right? So these are the things which I would like to pass on to Aditya along with your question, Srina.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahulji.
Yeah, so Rahulji and Simi ma'am, thank you for the perspective. Yeah, we do understand that at the end, the rack pickers and the shop floor guys are the people who are actually doing the work, and they have to be given due remuneration. Now, I'm not an expert at wages and I'm not an expert at remunerations. I leave it to the other people there. But at the end, as Mr. Tiwari said, and generally the tone of the industry has still been that EPR is a compliance-driven market. So this philosophy of having heavy negotiations would still go on as long as it is a compliance-driven market. It's still a punitive mechanism, right? It's still a stick. It's not a carrot out there. If there can be any carrot-based incentives, then I think we can the industry as such can start looking at better revenues. As of now, there is an EPR credit. I'm just taking the cue from the carbon credit market, the compliance carbon credits market. Carbon credit is a carbon credit, generally with everybody talking about those credits as just a single credit, a single piece of paper, 1 ton of carbon. Now, what is the quality of the credit? Still, carbon credit, the quality of the carbon credit is one of the most debated topics in carbon industry. You can take it from RV, you can take it from EV, you can take it from biochar, you can take it from renewable energy, or you can take it from carbon sequestration, from nature-based solutions, anywhere. The way in which actually we are removing that 1 ton of carbon defines the credit, the quality of the credit. As of now, the people who are actually asking for those credits, I am buying the credits, and industry buys the credits for investors' sake or for compliance sake, depending upon which kind of an environment they are operating in. If the industry, if the investors and the stakeholders don't ask for a specific quality of a credit, of course, the quality of the credit which I would buy, I wouldn't care, and I would buy the cheapest one. Similarly, for EPR also, can we have a quality of the credit? Can we talk about conditions of the rack pickers and include them as a part of the quality? Can we improve the quality when we have tiers in the EPR quality credits and ask or expect the stakeholders to expect a specific kind of EPR quality credit from the industry? That would make a business case which would industries would love to take.
So you want to say that CPCB, if anyways they have announced that they will come up with the floor price and ceiling price, both price. Now, so you are suggesting that this should be in consideration when they are finalizing the price. That what is the quality of the credits? That
The quality has to be defined. Carbon credits, the quality is somewhat defined. Still, there is a lot of debates around that. Even the green credit program, which is coming in, the carbon credit program came in, the green credit program, which is coming in. At every credit, what I would recommend to the government, if I have a voice, actually, I did that to my CFO, who is actually representing to SEBI on carbon credits, where we are asking them to have quality defined. What's the distinction between a company which does a better job at removing the carbon or removing the waste from the market versus somebody who is just doing for the sake of tick box? If there is no distinction, if there is no business case built for the business, everybody will prefer to go to a tick box.
no debate here, but somewhere I read in the CPCB documentations that the basic fees for EPR should be 2 rupees per kg, right? So very early at the very early, defining the common understanding that what are the logistics areas logistics fees producers, recyclers are paying for, or maybe the waste to energy and cement organizations are paying for. So basic price should be 2 rupees. But now you are drilling it a little, one more step down or above, saying it has to be also quantified as per the quality. That what exactly it is happening, and that's what I'm getting it. Can you please correct me here? Is that
No, no, that's what I'm getting at. 2 rupees per kg. Miss Mishra can please correct me if I'm right or wrong. Yeah, I think yes, she has something to say. Two
Yes.
rupees per credit, is it really the number what we are looking at? Does that actually
Can
pay
you
the
tell?
people?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Aditya, if you kind of look at the value of 2 rupees, you wouldn't even kind of give it to a beggar. And here you're kind of thinking of it as a fair wage. I think that's like totally underrating, totally demotivating, and not exactly what we should be kind of, targeting at. And I also wanted to take this chance, if it's okay with you, to kind of, like introduce a new concept. When you're talking about, quality of credits, we should also kind of, look at mechanisms that make sure that the quality matrices that we agree upon as an industry are also validated in some way. And here, I think, again, the waste pickers and the society can really kind of, play a very large role by doing social audits. And social audits can kind of, emerge as a powerful tool to not only acknowledge the work that has been done, but also enhance the engagement of waste pickers and informal workers into the EPR framework. It kind of, leads to inclusivity, empowerment, also, like giving a specific role, which actually actively involves the waste pickers in the decision-making process as well. And these audits can contribute to fair and inclusive EPR strategies, whether it is for the wages or the, like the value that is per kg kind of, determined, but also validates the contributions and strengthens the accountability. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, very well said, Miss Mishra. Thanks a lot. Sorry, I'm butting in. If it's okay.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so as you were saying about validation, yeah, that's actually one of the most requirements actually. 2 rupees per credit as of now, I'm not able to see the value chain getting fairly compensated for that. If we are increasing the number, then quality also has to be increased. And the quality, and as I say quality, when I use the word quality, we have to define the word quality. And that quality would come from having a more transparent or a more integrated value chain in EPR. Any kind of social audits. One of the good examples when I was with CII, we used to use Higgs index for textile. That was a very good environmental and a social audit where the criteria was thus that the people who are actually sewing the jeans or the shirts are getting fairly compensated. They make sure there are checks and balances. Some kind of a social audit would actually be required because this is a social heavy credit.
I would also like to contribute here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
One point. Basically, see, price is definitely one factor which motivates the waste generator, to give more waste.
You went on mute, Mr. Sharma. You went on mute.
Even automatically is picking up. So initially, we started that at rupees 10 per liter from this North India market, the used cooking oil. But we revised the pricing solely for the purpose of motivating the waste generators. Because once this ecosystem or the chain has to be built in a cyclic manner, then only the volumes are bound to increase. I could not keep the price 10, then we revised it to 25, then we also made it 35 as per market requirements so that the waste generator is motivated enough to be in touch with you, to regularly give you the waste. It's not a one-time assignment. And
True.
it's if we see the annual, charts or the annual waste generation versus the annual waste pickup, it clearly shows what is the gap there in the market. And all their recyclers, panelists, and all the I would say knowledgeable audience, we all have gathered to contribute to the environment only. So definitely, pricing is one factor which I totally agree with Aditya ji, as he pointed out. Pricing is something which needs to be worked out in favor of the waste generator as well as a lifter, a company like us, so that it is viable also to sustain the market. Balance between the two. Definitely, Rahulji. That's my point.
So now, as when again, I'm coming back to my question again. So this 2 rupees, which I said, is what I understood, that this is a basic logistics charge. So that's what CPCB tried to give a pricing, that basic price of 2,000 rupees. It should not exceed more than 2,000 rupees for the logistics pieces, right? But now on top of it, the prices from the recycler, rack pickers, etc., shall be imposed on it. Now, as per my understanding, the prices should go more above than this 2 rupees. But still, market is completely different. So my question here is, what should be the base price? Do you have any mechanism which you have thought in mind that okay, this should be the base price and this should be the ceiling price? Any idea? Or I'll go back to this Sini Mishra once again. That what should CPCB do as per the current market scenario? Because where the trade is happening below 2 rupees at this moment for the EPR certificate for multiple customers, in my knowledge. However, I don't see that they would be able to achieve the compliances within that 2 rupees. Do you see that's a challenge? That's a demand and supply game, or that's a kind of people are taking the benefit of the time and incentivizing in a by demeaning the prices or by reducing the prices?
So I think, like, in my mind, definitely the price is not fair. And I think all of us do kind of, agree upon it. Depending on whichever stakeholder you look at, it certainly is not a fair price. Now, when I look into, like what drives the price market, it's obviously a supply and a demand thing. It's also a lot of other factors that need to be taken into consideration. Also, I think, like you cannot just have a flat rate, because when we are talking about, recycling, we're talking about recycling in various different ways. So segregation of the price points as per the material recoverability, usability, those are the things that you need to kind of, take into consideration. I'm not from, like a research or a market kind of a background, so I wouldn't be able to kind of give very pointed, like decision points or what the matrices should be. But I think, like we need to kind of look into this. And as the market matures, I think we will kind of, like come to a more agreeable, segregated, maybe 3 or 4 different slabs need to be kind of created.
Yeah.
That's what I would suggest. Yeah.
Aditya ji, would you like to comment on this?
Yeah, at the end, see, I'm a free market guy, so I think compliance can take us only so far. Compliance is required to start the game, to get the people thinking, but compliance markets will only take us so far. Beyond that, it's free market rules. But then, in the free market, as a person from the industry, I would like to see a business case. So if I'm paying more, then why am I paying more? What is the additional benefit I'm getting? When I say I am getting, the benefit can be on any E, S, or G parameters. We do calculate social cost. We do calculate our environmental cost for the projects which we are doing. We have an internal carbon pricing. So we have methodologies to calculate the ESG cost of a said process. And if I am taking an EPR, what is the social benefit or what is the environmental benefit? What is the benefit which me or pharma value chain or nation as a whole is getting? And then we can make a business case around. As long as it is positive, it can be positive in 2 years or 20 years. It depends upon individual appetite of the industry. But as long as it is going there, as long as it is making a business case which is positive, I'm sure that will thrive.
Yeah, basically, my understanding is that when it comes to the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, Swachh Bharat Mission, so that's where the concept starts from. Maybe from the rack pickers to the whether it is end of life of that particular plastic in a waste to energy plant, or whether it is a PET bottle is getting recycled and forming a piece of suit or maybe trousers or jackets. All the circular economy is working towards the recycle and clean the Indian geography, right? So to achieve the circular economy. Now, again, when I understand, as of now, currently, if I see, so only 5,000 or 6,000, not 2,500 from a brand's point of view and 3,500 from a producer point of view are registered, approximately 7,000. Rest of them are importers, so which is like a very minimal value which is coming in the market. So 7,000 is still, I believe that at least 15% of Indian market is registered at this moment. 15% of total volume, which I got the data, but still 85%. So do you believe that out of this 6 years, still 15%? So this is a very low number where people are not following the rules despite of um, reminding again and again. And people like organization like EcoX is working hard to ensure that we can onboard them successfully and make sure they achieve their compliance in a right way, right fashion, and do it. So why the delay is happening? Do you have any idea why people are delaying the registration? Are everyone not looking forward towards to the EPR compliance? Is it so tough to understand, or we have to follow some other thought processes to ensure that everyone is following such kind of rules and regulation? Gautamji, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, sir. Rahulji, what I feel is there are two mindsets when it comes to compliance part. And I am now speaking from an industry waste generators perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The first perspective is contributing to the environment by doing proper compliances, doing partnership with a company like EcoX, and then contributing to the environment. The second point of view is the cost, the financial cost that is attached to this model. So, looking from a waste generators point of view, there are people who want to contribute to the environment. But one of my friends who is from IIM Bangalore, he runs a company in Mumbai and he is doing EPR pan India. But he faced this challenge particularly in Punjab and Haryana market. The industry or the waste generator is not ready to pay them the amount that they are charging in Maharashtra currently. He is asking for a negotiation of 1/3 the price and even more. So he was just talking to me that Gautam, with these kind of pricings that the generator is not willing to pay us, how can we do the compliance part with the same set of teams that I have, with the same set of infrastructure that I have? So definitely industry sees it as a financial obligation, environmental obligation. They see only once their turnover crosses a certain figure. And coincidentally, in a state like Punjab, majority leaving those 70 industrial houses which have a decent turnover, rest all they are under the SME category. So definitely the pricing, I feel, Rahulji, has to be worked out in such a way that even the SME is willing to contribute to the environment and they are willing to partner with companies like EcoX and do their compliances so that we make them a part of the picture. Not, having a rigid price, just the price that Trident Group or Vardhaman is paying us. The same price cannot be applicable to.
Very correctly narrated, Mr. Sarma. So there are two mindsets. So currently, by God grace and your wishes, we have more than 500 plus customers, those who are taking the compliance services, right? And as you mentioned that there are multiple. So I was in a Cement Expo yesterday, and there are multiple organizations still trying to delay it. So yeah, so the city would like to say something. I would love to hear that.
So I think, we look at the ecosystem, and this is something new that is there. So while I understand it is a compliance, the compliance seems to be at this point, like focused on the tier one, the ones who are large, who are big, who would get, like substantial and, reputational damage if they do not comply, if I may kind of, say that. Like Gautam ji pointed out, the legislative framework that is which is not there for the SMEs. So to me, that seems to be one of the primary reasons for the non-adoption of the EPR, because the legislative framework mandating the producers to take the responsibility and end-of-life management of their products kind of falls through after a certain level of the organizations. So without clear regulations for anything, it's very difficult to get a buy-in when I have no legal obligation for producers to implement the EPR programs. The second, what I also feel is that there is resistance from the producers, and the industry can kind of, validate it. Some of the producers may resist EPR due to concerns about, increasing cost, change of business practices, investment in infrastructure, and also maybe, like that has a larger, longer ramification when it comes to potential impacts on the competitive pricing that is there. And India is a very, very price competitive market.
True.
And then I think, like inadequate infrastructure. Even if I do have an intent, I may not have all kinds of, infrastructure, which includes, recycling facilities, or maybe my recycling facility and collection systems are so far away that investing in this kind of a practice, even though the intent is there, may actually kind of, cost me more than what I am willing to pay at this point of time. So again, this becomes a barrier. So I think, there is lack of collaboration, lack of understanding, and economic challenges, financial challenges also do occur.
Well, I'll quickly try to summarize this. So there are more than 18 plus different industry verticals in India. So whether it is cement, pharma, infrastructure, aviation, FMCG, etc., all the 18 I'm not going to count on. But every industry has taken a hashback that, okay, I'll not do this. And slowly, few of the bigger leaders, as you correctly mentioned, slowly they started adopting the large enterprises, right? And now I think the medium enterprises are pitching in slowly, and they will complete their compliances as soon as possible from a brand owner point of view, because anyways, micro and small brand owner is accepted, and that liability is falling upon producer. Why producers are saying that I don't want to register? Because they don't want to take the responsibility of micro and small brand, but they also wanted to be exempted, like the way the brand owners are exempted as a micro MSME point of view. So I remember we, in association with multiple association, we did a advertisement to Pradhan Mantri Modi ji that kindly exempt MSME producers as well. But so far, there are certain drafts, but still that's on the draft phase. There is that has not been implemented so far. So this just to give you the elephant in the room. So there are still possibilities that these people may be exempted, but still a large number. So when I say 15%, so it's a large number of brand owners and producers are left who should come voluntarily to be registered and start achieving the compliance for the plastic waste management, because this is for our generation, this is for my next generation, and it has to be clean, right? So when we talk about Europe, we are very fancy. Oh, Europe has done this, but when it comes to India, why we are not adopting in India? So that is something which we also need to understand. And as you correctly mentioned, that we have to take this individually also to ensure that this practice is coming in the market. Aditya ji, you wanted to say something. You raised your hand, but I'm sorry I took your time. Please go ahead with your statements.
Yeah, no, nothing. I was trying to think about a couple of things. As Ms. Mishra mentioned, that MSMEs are still not able to comply with EPR because as of now, they don't have the luxury of complying with EPR, both from a operational perspective or from a managerial or an economic perspective. As it becomes more compliant heavy, as it becomes more important, MSMEs will have to do it. But then prices will jump up across the ladder, and that then we will have to talk about how we will absorb that cost. As she said, India is a very, very price sensitive market. We are used to having a 3 rupees Parle-G, which actually has a multi-layer packaged wrapper around it, which will stay for 800 years, which will consume in the next 5 minutes. We are used to that kind of a thing. And if we start having a more compliance heavy mechanism, like let us say like German mechanism, where you are required to put a deposit for every plastic bottle and then you have to give it back and then get the credit back. If you are doing that sort of a thing, the overall industry, the overall value chain should also be ready to take up such things. The infrastructure has to be picked up. My thought process or my submission here was that instead of treating rag picking or instead of treating waste segregation and rag picking those last of the value chain guys as something like instead of seeing them from a more sympathetic or an empathetic point of view, please correct, please, I'll be a bit more rude and playing a bit of devil's advocate here. Let's treat them like businessmen. Let us give them respect of a business person. and then create the ecosystem what you would expect for a business person to thrive. We are now we are trying to make our ease of doing business better and better day by day in India. We are trying to have single window systems. We are trying to make the startups more lucrative. And still, much of the startups today are in IT and more fancy fields. Why none of the guys are coming here? This is not a rocket science to do, but they don't want to do it because the industry as of now still has a feeling of more empathetic nature. From a social perspective, from an industrial perspective, let us treat them as business.
True.
Then things will get solved, because then we will also tend to give more money. When I talk with my suppliers versus when I talk with my EPR guys, there is a change in the tone which happens. Industry changes its tones when they talk to their strategic suppliers versus when they talk to their EPR implementers. It does not have that.
Okay. Thank you, Adityaji, for your time. Okay, so I have one more round of questions, but the time is not very much available with me. My team is pushing. So, but we can, if you guys are fine, I can have a quick round of one last question. So, as we, as I'm just to give the again the context. So, as a EcoX organization, what we are doing is we are providing this EPR certificate in between. So before that, there is a pre-consumer based, right? So every organization has a scrap, then they sell it. Then to achieve the plastic compliances, that's the second. And then the third is comes where we are providing the consulting services to the organization that how they can reduce their EPR targets for future financial years. That's the third, that is UREP, right? So all these three, as of now, is going to be a one picture going forward. But as we estimate that by 2030, the market will mature and everyone will know if all these three steps. Currently, people are only knowing about plastic waste management compliances, that how to achieve registration, APR buy and unwritten filing, but they are failing to do all these two activities. Now, do you think there is any other mechanism to ensure that what are the changes which we can bring in our packaging? Because I did one event with IPI, so Innovation Indian Plastic Institute, where they wanted to talk about innovation in packaging, etc. So how good or how adoptable, how does the brand will adopt all these innovative in when it comes to the packaging in technology, which is not of plastic. So let's say uh, I will re-paraphrase my question. Uh, are the brands are open to change their plastic packaging to any other innovative plastic to ensure that the plastic waste management is getting complied also and they are able to reach their net zero target as well? So what exactly brands like you are doing, Aditya, if you would like to throw some lights on that?
Yeah. So, as much as I have worked with industry, if I'm talking only about pharma industry, because pharma, the packaging is quite regulated, so there
Yeah,
is only so much we can do. But then still, many of the pharma brands in India or overall,
let's
they are
not talk
trying
about primary packaging, but anywhere we can do something in the secondary packaging.
secondary, yeah,
As
secondary only.
always,
Primary anyhow is out of the question as of now.
the immediate target.
Yeah, so secondary, we are trying to eliminate secondary packaging. So we very diligently, every industry will diligently follow to reduce the packaging, as long as that reduction in packaging doesn't affect the market. So the
Right.
marketing guys have to tell me saying that if you remove the packaging, still it will always be perceived at that level. So the willingness to pay for my every product wouldn't change. The eye of the customer will still be the same. So if that happens, then we will be more than happy to remove secondary packaging. We have removed secondary packaging. Much of our syrups and these tablets, omes specifically, a lot of drugs which we sell in India, we have removed the secondary packaging. There was a time when logistics was actually an issue, and the bottles, then when there were glass bottles and when there were aluminum wraps, and then things used to crush off. And that was the time when we had gone for the secondary packaging. People got used to secondary packaging, and then it just went along the way. And now, as we are rethinking the things from the start, we are removing secondary packaging wherever it is not required. And I think that is similar across in FMCG or in electronics or anything. There are places where they are increasing the packaging also. for safeguarding the product or for having a better view in the market. At the end, my view for packaging is it has to safely transport the product inside from A to B until from the factory outgate to the customer. And for that, whatever the minimum thing which can be done is being done. And we don't mind playing around with different kinds of packaging. So instead of using a paper packaging, if there can be any other packaging which is more environment friendly, we're more than happy to.
Okay. Thank you, Aditya. Gautamji, I would also like to understand that what are the challenges currently faced at ground level with the recycling of plastic by CPCB authorized recyclers like Surya Chemicals?
Yes, sir. For a company like us, Surya Chemicals, the challenges that we face on ground, one is
Yes.
definitely awareness. One
Okay.
is definitely awareness. With the sessions, like I'm thankful to the management and team of EcoX for conducting such a wonderful knowledge sharing session. So number one is awareness, which needs to be transferred to the waste generators as well as industries, as well as the universities, I will say, even at the grassroots level of students. So awareness is step number one. Step number two comes is, you signing an agreement with the waste generators. That is the documentation part. Step number three is the execution of the waste lifting. Once we have done the documentation, the waste also needs to be lifted in order to come at a volume that we have lifted this much of waste. So definitely step number three is that. And step number four is then filing the returns. Whatever waste you have lifted annually or 6 monthly, that needs to be shared with the respective pollution control boards. Also, a company like us, Surya, we are regularly maintaining it, sending it to the pollution control boards, as well as maintaining a record with the waste generators that we have lifted this much waste from you. So awareness comes first. For like this, second comes the challenges, I would say, apart from the awareness level, is in the pricing part. For a waste generator, their primary, target is to get the maximum amount of the out of that waste. So any company which is, operating in this space, they are definitely contributing to the environment. But you cannot compete with the kabadi wala in the market at any given day. He's there to, buy from cash, all cash deal, bought from here, sell it anywhere. So that environmental, I will say, angle or the environmental aspect of not managing the waste has to be taught to the waste generator so that they give it to the authorized recyclers like Surya Chemicals like us.
That has been
And we manage
mandated
it.
now. That has been
Yeah.
mandated as well.
Yes, sir. So we manage it in a, scientific way, the disposal of the waste, and contribute to the environment jointly.
But with that thought process of kabadi walas, I'll go to Sini ma'am once again. Can we divide the syllabus for rack pickers and spy mitras to ensure that to enhance their skills so they can be better employees in the waste management industry?
Sir, waste management as a sector.
This is towards to Sini ma'am.
Okay, Simi ma'am, please.
Sorry, I was totally caught off guard. I wasn't listening through. I was like thinking of something totally
No problem.
different. Yeah.
I was asking, can we divide the syllabus for
Mhm.
Safai Karmachari, for Safai rack pickers and Safai Sathi? Can we
Mhm.
divide the syllabus to enhance their skills so they can be better employees in the waste management industry? Can we try?
Absolutely. So when I look into when you say syllabus, I mean I don't see that like kind of as one single syllabus. I think there is a need to kind of integrate this across the various levels of education. So I know that Nalanda University, for example, is kind of like doing an MBA class in and they're doing these MBA classes since the last couple of years on sustainable like management practices. And of course, this is like one of the examples that are there. On the other hand, when we look into the Safai Karamcharis, these are managers. Managers will need people to, like, and industry frameworks to kind of, work with. So when I look into the Safai Karamcharis and the others who are actually various positions and roles in the entire ecosystem, I think organizations and apex, apex bodies such as CII, NSDC need to kind of, put this into the curriculum. Right now, we have very limited curriculum. We do have, curriculums that are for gardeners and stuff like that. But I think we have very limited curriculum when it comes into developing skills of waste pickers and rag packers and safai karamcharis, etc. I also think that there is a need, besides kind of, doing this formal education, behavioral change, which will actually kind of, result in a lot of the things. For example, when Aditya ji was kind of talking, or when Gautam ji was talking about, certain price points, certain labeling, and the marketing, departments being confident about the change that is being recommended by the boards, I think there is a need for the consumers also to be educated. And the consumers will be only educated if there is overall awareness that has been created. For example, when we were in the COVID time, there was the massive campaign about, what should be done and what should not be done, 2 meters of duri and stuff like that. I think that behavioral concept and education is very, very important. That is the one that will kind of, drive the consumers to accept changes. I know of, a large number of cosmetic organizations who are now kind of saying that, get your jar and we'll refill it for you. So certain cases, not in case of, maybe not possible for the pharma sector, but in many, many cases, it is possible that, you do away with not only the secondary packaging, but also with the primary packaging, start to kind of, focus on practices that are sustainable so that consumer behaviorism, it itself kind of, undergoes a change.
Yeah, very well said and very well described. Thank you, Siniji, for a nice thought processes here and making our audience understand that what exactly the benefit is if we do so. So I think we are running out of time. Thank you so much for your time, for all of you, to Mr. Aditya, to Mr. Gautam, to Sini ma'am. And it was a wonderful interactive session, I think, from my point of view, that I have learned something today here for sure. And I'll be happy to assist any point of time you need. Just one call away. And now I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Ms. Rashmi, to take it forward. Rashmi?
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I like to thank all the panelists for the insightful details about the on-ground touch points of the plastic waste management industry and waste management industry. And also, I would like to extend the heartfelt gratitude to all the joinees there to provide the time out of their busy schedule to share their knowledge and experience with us, and also extend the appreciation for all the disguised guest attendees and organization team who have contributed to making our event successful. We will love to be having you back again in our next webinar we are planning by upcoming months or days.
Thank you once again. Thank you so much for your time. And you can visit our website. You can also take a place to do the activities that help and save the environmental through the following link, the link has been shared in the chat box. So that will route you to my website, and you can take the pledge and get the certificate out of it for sure. And if you need anything, you can visit our website. You have our coordinates. The numbers are already shared. We're happy to assist you.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you for all
Thank
the
you, Rahul ji.